I think it was at the gate at the time, and it was just like you were getting that thing to feed back, and it was just like, this sounds awful. And then all of a sudden you just clamp the gate back, and it was massive.
Yeah,
and I was like,
all of a
oh,
sudden,
okay, I get it. So you're gonna like basically let that thing kind of almost explode and then take it off.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make it shut off,
Yeah,
like,
that's
like
awesome.
after the fact. But that was like, it was just like, that's similar to what I think is going on here. It's just like they found like a warm blanket in the frequencies and just wrapped the whole thing, and saturated it and distorted it and all the shit, right?
Yeah.
Because like there's no extra guitar parts. There's that doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. It's all distorted, and I think that's just, I think it's a guitar or a keyboard just to fill out that like that high mid or mid high, I guess. But I think that's all that is. But outside of that, man, yeah, it sounds like they're just pushing things in places that probably sounded really good. Like the cone of the guitar cabinet sounded really good right there. So we just boosted the shit out of that.
Well, and the bass is doing a lot.
Oh yeah,
Like the bass is a lot of that warmth.
yeah.
Because like the guitar part's almost like like I've never played a guitar that sounds like that. You know what I mean?
Not
Like,
yet.
It's almost like it's almost like a different instrument almost. Even though I know it's played the same, but
I'm gonna try to play a one that Bendeth mixed here. I believe he did this one.
I won't say goodbye.
yep, that's another thing he loves. He loves clean front pickup humbucker.
Trying to hear if there's a reverb on the other side. I don't think so.
I'm sure
Yeah.
I won't survive the fall. Wear your tears like jewelry. That vice is overpriced, but artists at its tirelessly don't cry. Just let me down.
See, it's interesting because the vocal's the one that's getting all the warmth.
Right?
Yeah.
Let me dive in, sinking deeper, push my
That's one of the things I feel like Bendeth doesn't get enough credit for is how big his vocals are.
Yeah.
Like, they're huge.
He made Hayley Williams sound like she was working for everything she ever sang, and he's making Danny right now sound like she's working for everything.
Yeah.
Like them high notes, like that sounded like it was effort.
Yeah.
But that's that performance, I think. Like I think he's trying to bring that out because it's like this was a live take, y'all. Like she sang in this microphone for real, and I want y'all to appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's what it feels like versus. And I'm not trying to say one is better than the other or anything like that. There's none of that going on.
Oh, it's just different flavors, right?
Yeah, like this is back to more. This is the other one that we listened to from the warning before.
Kind of more of a classic way of approaching the vocal rather than making the singular vocal massive.
Yeah.
Like when he needs to step it up, it's this doubler effect.
Yeah,
And like,
it's interesting, right?
yeah. Which, I mean, like then it can take up less space technically.
Yeah.
I mean, two schools of thought, obviously. I think for me, I'm such a old school David Bendeth guy that it's hard for me to
It's
not
hard for
like
me
that
to leave that.
more.
Yeah.
Because like I hear what he's doing, but I think the production element of this is really, really clever.
I still think that Bendeth, the record, feels like it's a band,
Yeah.
whereas this one feels like it's musicians.
Yeah.
And I
okay.
don't mean that as a dig. I mean that like it might even be like a leap forward to some people or whatever. It's just like the Bendeth one to me feels like that's what I'm gonna get when I hear you on a stage.
Yeah, like a
You know what I
rock
mean?
record.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And because like we're not like, and there are people in the warning crowd that didn't like more the sound of more and didn't like Sick as much, or maybe they weren't used to it or whatever. And I did like it, but the transition from the record to the live is like whoa. It is a huge change. And whereas like with Paramore, when I watch them live, I'm like, it's Paramore.
Oh, dude,
you know
like
what I mean? Like,
that live concert that
Riot?
they did after, the more Riot Part 2, or I can't remember what
whatever
it's
they
called.
called it, yeah.
But that was like exactly what you're talking about, where
Yeah.
it's just like, they had this record, and then here's the live,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The drummer's still smacking everything.
Beating the shit out of everything. yeah.
Everybody's doing their thing, and like she's killing it,
Yep.
and just like it was one of those like, oh, okay, yeah. This is almost
translates.
direct translation.
Yeah.
Which like the funny thing is like they view David Bendeth as like a heavily producing type guy, but like if you're able to do that, where it's like, hey, this is the band, and hey, here's the band. Mm-hmm. That's really cool to me.
Yeah.
Like that's the irony of why he wanted to work with Under Oath is because he liked. He said he used to go to concerts because he likes going to concerts, and he went to go see Under Oath, and he saw Aaron Gillespie, and he's like, "Oh, he's a pretty good drummer," and he watched them over the years, different shows, and then he was like, eventually, Aaron was getting really good. And I was like, "Man, this guy's pretty good," and then he approached Aaron about doing a project, and it was one of those like, "Oh, he is invested in the performer."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is dope. I would
is a
love to make
performance.
this. I would love to give people a translation of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily how records are approached that often, right? Like where the producers invest in what the artist is, and rather than like the record label goes, okay, here's your list of producers, artists.
who
you
you
pick.
want.
You pick the one that you want to approach, and
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. But it was just a neat idea of like, oh, he's expressing something that he digs. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I like this, and here it is. Mm-hmm. And I like that idea.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that maybe Delost does the exact same thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like from the interview that I watched of him, man, he seemed like a very humble dude. He's from Toronto. He's mixing out of LA now. He didn't name any artists that, like, when he mentioned the 2 singles that he did with them, I'm assuming that it was The Warning. It could have been another one too. I can't remember who it was. But nonetheless, like at the end of the day, fabulous sounding records, different styles, different approaches. And I think I can't say one is better than the other. Like I don't have that kind of investment when it comes to producing. I have what I like and what I try to chase. But I'm not gonna lie, man. If I knew how to get those Delost tones, I might like that too. I'm sure I could sort it out. I've been working on it, but
For me, the only thing that I wish, like, because I'm just very particular when it comes to the drums things, and like his drums sound really nice.
who, Delost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
Saturated.
but also like pretty,
Oh, yeah.
which like for me, I kind of want it to sound silly heavy. And pretty drums usually do better